What's going on YouTube? So the TRD Pro lineup has been expanding rapidly over the last few years. And now for 2020, Toyota is refreshing the entire lineup, including this Tundra. Beyond the updates that all Tundras received for 2020, they added some performance-enhancing features as well to this TRD Pro. So with that all said, let's go ahead and see what makes this truck so impressive. Alright, so the first thing I'll mention here on the outside will be one of the 2020 changes, and that's this brand new Army Green paint color. This is, like I said, all new to the TRD Pro lineup, and it looks excellent across all of the models that's applied to. Really just an interesting and cool looking color. Now, of course, most of the rest of the design here is the same for the TRD Pro as it was last year. You'll continue to find a bigger, bolder grille with Toyota spelled out across the top and a really large, muscular looking hood vent. As far as the rest of the fascia, you're looking at full LED headlights. However, down here you will have special Rigid Industry LED fog lights to replace the regular fog lights. Now, of course, as you would expect, there are plenty of off-road upgrades for this TRD Pro model. So what you'll be looking at is 10.6 inches of ground clearance, which is 0.2 inches higher than all the other Tundra models. You will also have a 31-degree approach angle and a 17-degree departure angle, as well as front skid plates. Now, of course, another important aspect of this TRD Pro's overall package is going to be exclusive 18-inch BBS forged aluminum alloy rims, of course with your red special TRD branding and your Pro. Of course, also wrapped around it is all-terrain tires. Now, looking behind that, you will also notice that this truck comes with internal bypass Fox shocks. And moving on up here to your mirrors, since this is off-road focused, they didn't worry too much about them. So you will have heating, but you will not have the auto dimming, power folding, or the blind spot monitoring that come on the 1794 or Platinum models.
Now here at the side, the TRD Pro Tundra is available in the double cab and crew cab configurations. Obviously, we have selected the crew cab configuration for this particular model, and it is also paired with the 5-foot short bed only. Now, walking to the side design, there is going to be one difference here, and that's pretty much just the stamping right here that says TRD Pro. Gives it a cool look. However, walking around to the rear, you do still have your same halogen taillights here, but down here on the bottom is where you're going to notice the big difference for the TRD Pro, and that's your two catback exhausts. They actually come out on each side of the Tundra TRD Pro, which gives it a really distinct look over the regular model. And here at the tailgate, there isn't really any fancy tricks or anything like a lot of modern trucks, but we do have dampening as the tailgate opens. And looking inside, like I mentioned, this is the 5-foot short bed back here, and we do also have the optional bed liner. Now, one of the nice things about the Tundra is that Toyota Safety Sense is actually standard across the entire lineup, and of course that does continue here for this TRD Pro model. That means this Tundra has pre-collision braking with pedestrian detection, lane departure, as well as auto high beam headlights and adaptive cruise control. Well guys, that sums up the cool exterior design of this Tundra TRD Pro. So now let's go ahead and see what they put on the inside.
Now, just like the rest of the 2020 Tundra lineup, you will find Toyota's Smart Entry system now standard on the TRD, which was previously not available at all on any Tundra. And to get inside the vehicle itself, you'll just grab the handle because there is a sensor behind it. Now, taking a first peek inside the cabin, you'll notice that it is mostly the standard Tundra design. But there are of course some unique touches to set this TRD apart as something a little bit more special. Now, as far as interior material and color options, I don't really have much to talk about because this is the only way that you can get the TRD Pro. It's going to be black leather with contrast stitching and special TRD branding. Now, turning over here to the door trim, those same materials are mirrored up here onto it. So you have a soft touch armrest here and then a leather material across the top with that same color contrast stitching. You also notice you have two fully automatic windows. And then as far as the seats themselves, this is the 10-way power adjusting seat. Though on the TRD Pro, it does lose the power thigh extension from the Platinum and 1794 editions. Alright, so climbing on in here, we have the Predator steps. However, there is not a driver's side assist grip. So like I already said, there's not a ton of differences as far as the TRD Pro's cabin is concerned. So we'll be looking at the same kind of materials like hard touch plastic across the top part. You will find the same leather from the from the door trim up here. You have some silver trim that runs all around here. And then your lower areas are mostly hard touch, but everything feels extremely solid as you'd expect for a truck like this. Now for the first time, you do have push button start. Now after you finish enjoying the burly startup, you can check out the gauges here. Now this is just the regular setup from the 2020 Tundra, but it has been upgraded this year to have the larger 4.2-inch multi-function display, which does contain all your typical affair of things, including the safety system settings. And then coming back here to the steering wheel, you actually have hydraulic power steering, which is certainly becoming a rarity these days, as well as a nice leather wrap steering wheel. The wheel itself is manual tilt and telescoping, and it is not heated on the TRD. Now, of course, this is a big truck after all, so storage is very important. First of all, you'll see you have a place on top of the center console here, and then when you open this up, you have an absolutely gigantic storage area. And it does have a nice felt lining down at the bottom, as well as a 12-volt outlet inside. Up in front of that, you have your two cup holders. You have a long, slender area, good for storing maybe a sword or something. I have no idea what you would store there. But you do have a nice flat pad up here for your cell phone, a third cup holder, and you have some more connections right there. Additionally, on the TRD, you'll see an exclusive TRD shifter, which has a nice leather wrapping. You can shift manually by bumping over here to the left, like so. Of course, there are not going to be any paddle shifters. And then when you go into reverse, you will find a standard backup camera. It does not have active trajectory, though. Alright, so now let's go ahead and move on up here to our climate controls. This, of course, is a dual zone automatic setup. As you can see, you have two gigantic knobs to make all of your adjustments and some physical buttons right there. You do also have 3-stage seat heating on this TRD, but you cannot get the ventilation that you can get on the higher end trim levels. Alright, now that brings us on up here to the audio system. So like your top two trims, the TRD Pro does come standard with the upgraded 12-speaker premium JBL audio system. So we'll go ahead and take a sample of that. Yeah, overall, I have to say this is definitely a very nice sounding sound system. Alright, and now that brings us to one of our most important 2020 upgrades for the TRD Pro, and that's that we now have a brand new 8-inch infotainment system. Beyond the increase in screen size, it also has the new capacitive touch response, which is a lot more responsive than before, and it is running the latest Intune 3.0 software. Now, of course, it is the same as in other Toyota models. You will find dynamic navigation here on the TRD Pro with the latest mapping technology, which looks very good, and as you can see, is very responsive. You will also find both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on board. Now, moving on up from that, we do have an auto-dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink Universal remotes built into it. And then looking up here, we actually have a standard power moonroof on this TRD. That's worth mentioning because this is actually the only trim of the Tundra to include it as standard equipment.
So hopping back in the rear seat of this Tundra TRD Pro, like I've mentioned before, this is the full-size crew cab configuration. So back here we're going to have a lot of space. Now in addition to that, Toyota has also thrown in a few features, although not as many as most pickup trucks. You do have vents as well as a 12-volt outlet, which is nice. And then in the center you do have a fold-down armrest with cup holders inside. But as far as the actual legroom is concerned, you're going to find 42.3 inches of rear legroom and 39 inches of rear headroom, which does place it roughly in line with the Ford F-150, and it's an absolute crap ton of space. Behind Drew's seating position, I probably have at least a foot, if not a foot and a half of rear legroom, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. So it's definitely going to be enough room to take you and a lot of your guests along for your off-roading trips. Now on this TRD Pro model, we do have a power passenger seat. And in front of the passenger, we do have a good sized glove box. It's not massive for a truck, but it is a decent size. And up top, we do have a sun visor with a light mirror. And it does also detach as well as extend. Well, anyway, guys, that sums up all the rear areas of this Tundra TRD. So let's go ahead and get to the part that you've been waiting for, the drive.
Right there, that's why people love this truck so much. I mean, just listen to that sound. Big burly V8. I mean, if you didn't know it was powerful, that tells you right then and there.
Yeah.
No more questions. It's a powerful, powerful machine. Now, as far as your actual specifications, I'll go ahead and mention that. It is the same 5.7 liter V8 as in the other models. So you're going to be looking at 381 horsepower, 401 pound-feet of torque. So it definitely has solid numbers to back it up. And then just because with this catback exhaust, it's almost worth getting the TRD just for that. I mean, like, what the heck?
It legitimately sounds like a hot rod or something, and you're in just like a pickup truck. It's super duper cool.
I mean, the regular Tundra itself sounds quite good, but this is just A+. Not to throw shade at the Raptor or anything, because I absolutely love the Raptor, don't get me wrong, but this is one area where Tundra here has an advantage over the Raptor, because it just doesn't have that sound, that people, a lot of people miss that from the first generation. being a rather old school truck, you do still have a 6-speed automatic transmission. But I have to say I'm pretty impressed by how well it shifts. It actually seems quite responsive, like when you just put your foot down a little bit more, it goes ahead and shifts down. You know, so I don't really notice the lack of, you know, gears towards, you know, say something like the Raptor, which has 10 gears.
Yeah, I mean, this truck just has a distinct old school feel to it, and you know that transmission is part of that whole package here. Is, you know, just that old school trucky feel, and I think really a lot of you guys, you're looking for that. You're looking for that old school trucky feel with a big burly V8 engine sitting up high, you know, and that's something that this truck definitely delivers on. You know, and just kind of getting up to speed here, that's another area where the TRD Pro has actually changed from the regular Tundra, is in the area of ride quality. You know, as we talked about in the outside, this has the upgraded shocks, and really that does contribute to a really, really good ride quality inside of this cabin. You know, we've been driving this around quite a bit, and you know, when you hit a bump, you know, it really just absorbs it super duper well. That's something that these off-road trucks, you know, they excel in that area because the springs have to have a lot of give to them, so it really rides like a truly luxurious like ride. You know, and then
but yet it's not really bouncy too much either.
Yeah,
I know sometimes it can be like you can get this like rocking sensation if you have too soft of springs, but you know, this really strikes a good balance because it is still comfortable on road and you don't have that really springy characteristic. Nor do you have like a lot of brake dive or acceleration dive either. You know, that's something that was really prevalent in the Land Cruiser when we drove that a few months ago.
You know, and getting up to speed here, I will go ahead and give you a sound test. I'm assuming, I'm going to be honest with you, it's probably a little loud. This burly V8 engine is definitely going to make noise inside of this cabin. You know, it's part of the package here, but we'll see what it looks like. Yeah, as I expected here, you know, you're going to be at about a minimum. We're going around, what, 45 miles an hour, or a minimum of around 60 decibels. And then as you accelerate, it went up to about 70, which is, it's pretty loud on the spectrum, but, you know, I want that noise, to be honest with you.
This is what you're paying for. You're paying for this. Yeah, you know, I don't want this insulated out in this situation here. You know, this is what you want to hear.
Now, obviously the last thing that we need to talk about here is the fuel economy. You know, we saved it for last because it's probably the worst area about this, you know, Tundra, is that it has pretty not so great fuel economy. So what you're going to be looking at here is 13 city, 17 highway, 14 combined. You know, that is once again part of the package of having an older model with that 6-speed transmission, is you're going to get worse fuel economy. So you're paying the price at the pump for that fantastic sound and stuff like that. And it is worth noting, it's only 4-wheel drive on this TRD Pro model, so that's going to be your fuel economy for all of the different versions.
But overall, I think that this Tundra TRD Pro really excels at what it sets out to do. You know, it's easy for people to look at the Tundra in general and just be like, oh, it's old, it's out of date, you know, this and that. But there's a lot of people, we see it in the comments, a lot of people, this is exactly the type of truck they're looking for. And this TRD Pro with the extra capability, the extra sound, just extra masculine and cool, you know, it's an appealing package.
Alrighty, and now as far as the pricing is concerned, this truck does come in the double cab and crew cab configurations. Those are the only two options for this TRD Pro. So the double cab is going to start at $48,655, and then if you go for the crew cab, which is what we have here, that's going to be $52,280. Now, we do also have a few additional accessories added onto that. So we have the TRD Performance Air Filter for $85, the Tundra tailgate insert that's black for $60, as well as Predator steps for $750, and a spray-on bed liner for $580. And then finally, when you add the destination charge of $1595, this particular model is going to come in at $56,037. Which I have to say, you know, it is a pretty steep price point for this Tundra. It's more expensive than the Platinum and stuff like that, but super cool exterior styling, and you are getting a lot here with this TRD Pro. You're basically getting a fully loaded Tundra, plus a lot
less money than the competition.
Exactly.
As well.
You know, if you compare this to a Raptor, like 30 grand difference. So. Well guys, thanks for tuning into this review of the 2020 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. We really appreciate you watching, and if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to help us out by hitting those subscribe buttons down below, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.